Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hey, my little love, how's my man?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Baruch Hashem.
This week's topic, we're going to be talking about best years of your life. Because just to say, like a lot of times people feel like, when they were in college or when they were in a peak of their careers in different parts. So throughout your life, what would you say would be the best parts of your life?
Yeah. Something. I think every stage of an individual, unless God forbid you're in a really, really unusually, horribly sad situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a normal American kid, being raised in a normal family, of course, then again, normal is subjective.
Yeah.
Especially if you're an Ashkenazic Jew.
Yeah, exactly. What is
can be
normal?
very subjective. There were ups and downs and good and bad. How can I say it? There's aspects and liabilities of every stage, you might say. I mean, I remember when I was very little, like I said, being able to be just hiking around the woods in my old neighborhood. And, that was a lot of fun, being out in the woods a lot when I was a kid with other friends. And then as I got older, being able to riding my bike. I think anybody who lives in an area where they did a lot of bike riding will say that, as they were growing up, just riding your bike was a lot of fun, just, feeling that wind and, going at that speed. And that's, that was a lot of fun. But I'd say most stages of a person's life here in America, as a downside, we grow up in this country with a lot of pressures. In school, we're expected to, unless you're a special needs student, if you're of normal, neural capacities, you're expected to achieve, you're expected to meet a certain grade, you're expected to, produce. And there was, school, which when you think about when you're young and you're healthy and you're active, a time in your life that should have really been very, very enjoyable can be filled with a lot of pressure at that stage. Do you remember with the movie, It's a Long Story?
I've never heard of that movie.
Okay. Watch it sometimes. It's about a 15-year-old boy who he's growing up, I think in Manhattan. I think it's Manhattan. And he attends a very high achieving academic private school. And he's one of these high achievers. And his father wants him to go to the special summer program for like geniuses or high achievers. And he starts to have these horrible feelings of suicide. So he goes to one of the hospitals in Manhattan, and he just goes right into the emergency room and says, listen, he says, I need to be here. He says, I feel like I'm going to kill myself.
Okay.
And they admit him to the hospital, but unfortunately, his rotten luck is that the adolescent unit is now being refurbished, and they have to take all their adolescent patients, psychiatric patients, and now mix them in with the adult population. So of course, he doesn't want to be there. He says, listen, he tells the psychiatrist that's in charge, listen, maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe I didn't realize what I was saying, yada, yada. And so she tells him, look, a lot of people have these feelings. She goes, her advice to him was that they're just going to keep him there for about a week for evaluation. She says, I think it'd be in your best interest to stay here for the week. And while he's there, he meets, I don't know what the man's name was, but the part was played by I forgot his first, Zach Galifianakis played
Zach
this.
Galifianakis, you mean?
Is that I, how do you pronounce his last name?
Galifianakis?
I think that's it.
Okay.
And he they talk to each other, and this adult man is in a certain way able to help him. When he tells him about this high achieving program his father wants him to sign up for, the adult man says to him, "What are you doing this for?" He says, "You should be having fun this summer. You should be going to the beach. You should be, running after girls. You should be having fun. You shouldn't be involved in some high achieving academic program. This is your summer vacation." And so the whole gist of the movie is that the young man, this young boy, starts to realize that if, nothing wrong with being a high achiever, but if it's going to put so much pressure on you that you're going to get suicidal, that it is just not worth it. That life is meant to be enjoyed. Life is not meant to be a pressure cooker. Every stage of my life, high school, the same thing. Pressure to get into a college. My parents didn't have money for college, and they let me know that if I really wanted to go to college, I would have to get very high grades and get a scholarship, which I did.
Yeah.
College. College. I had a lot of fun in college. I enjoyed the cultural programs. I enjoyed the people I met. I liked the diversity of students and teachers, especially the teachers who were from foreign countries. So very, very interesting to interact and talk to them. And but again, the pressure of getting the degree, and what I liked about Towson was in the performing arts department, the teachers there were very understanding, and they really provided you with a lot of guidance. We didn't have the pressure of, say, like the music students from Peabody, and by the way, we did get a music student that transferred from Peabody to Towson because she couldn't stand the pressure that the professors at Peabody put her through, that the performing and has to be perfect and yada yada. And the professors at Towson weren't that way. They were more willing to work with you and to help you along the performing route. And they weren't so like I said, it wasn't a pressure cooker. They really were there to help. Graduating college, I enjoyed my trip to Israel. That crazy trip I took to Israel and Switzerland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Of course, when I first got to Israel, it was like, oh my God, what did I do to myself? It's like my trip to Barcelona. What did I do to myself? Why am I here? Why did I do this to myself? Mommy, bring me home. You would just sometimes when you go to a foreign country for the first time, or in my case, first time when I graduated college, and then second time after 40 years of, never not having traveled like that. It's your first reaction is get me on the first plane out of here until you adjust. And once you adjust, it's a lot of fun. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed meeting these students from Yeshiva Har Zion and Shlomo Carlebach. And of course, as I became from as a result of the good influence they had on me and my experience at the Kotel. I used to like to get up in the morning and go and daven at the Kotel. And something very strange happened to me when I would go to the Kotel and I would stand right against the wall. I would hear these men singing and beating drums. And I thought it was a group of Hasidim that were davening that way. So I mentioned to somebody once that, I really enjoy going to the Kotel. I like hearing those Hasidim, the way they're singing and beating on drums. And this person looked at me and goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, every time I go to the Kotel and I stand like right against the wall, I hear these men singing and I hear these drums beating. And this person starts to think and think, and she says, there are no Hasidim there that sing and beat on drums. I said, but I'm telling you, every time I go to the hotel and I stand against the wall and I touch the wall, I hear this. I'm not going crazy. I actually hear this. So she thought for a minute, she goes, oh my gosh. She says, you were hearing the sounds of the Levium from the Beis Hamikdash singing.
Interesting.
Which is very eerie. I mean, yeah, I wasn't religious. I wasn't looking for this. I momish when I touched the wall, I could hear this.
Well, what did it sound like?
Oh, wow. It was men singing, the deep, baritone voices singing together.
Like
and
what?
Very rhythmic with these drums beating.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. My mother, as a fact, used to say when she would watch Western movies, when they would have Indians that were, beating the drums and singing and dancing, my mother said it sounded to her almost like Hasidic music. That there, is a tremendous similarity.
Well, yeah, I mean, Hasidim with Nigunim are very interesting parts of Judaism, I think, when it comes to the musical side of it. It does sound like it's like almost like a chant to get into a mindset,
But I wonder how much of the music from the Beis Hamikdash actually was able to be preserved and from generations has actually survived as some of maybe the Hasidic nigunim that we are singing today, or maybe offshoots of it.
Maybe.
By the way, there was something very interesting they were discussing on the radio. They were talking about, remember we touched on this before about frequencies causing certain emotions. They said that, I don't know if some scientists researched this, found that there's a certain frequency, 111 hertz, that frequency causes people to meditate. In other words, if you sing at that frequency or you hear that frequency, it actually causes meditation. And they said that there are some like Eastern groups who are into meditation that will hum at that particular frequency.
Interesting. That's really cool.
It was like we said, when you read about the Beis Hamikdash, and it talks about the colors, there were actually certain colors that the Kohanim had to wear, and certain metals, like precious, like gold, silver, copper, and that these metals and these colors actually caused certain spiritual energies to be brought down. So the same thing, I'm sure, could be said of music frequencies, that the Levium, why did the Levium sing certain songs for certain korbanos? Why at that pitch? Why not, why can't everything be in the key of C? Why do we have all these different keys? So each key that you sing must do something to either evoke certain emotions or to bring down certain spiritual energies. I can think of no other logical explanation.
There could be something, if you dig hard enough, you look hard enough, if you try to look in some kind of angle, I think you could see something.
So anyway, after, my years in Crown Heights were very nice, to the Torah learning, going to the bringings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I felt very interesting. I enjoyed the community in Crown Heights. People cared. And my mother one time said to me when I was on a home visit, when I was visiting her, my family, she says, why do you want to live in such a Yentishtika community, Jewish Yentishtika community where everyone knows your business? And I said, Ma, people there care. It's better than here in the suburbs. If you live alone, you could die and nobody would even know, except that they would call the police and saying that there's some horrible smell was coming from your house. I told her, I said, in fact, there was a couple of days that I was sick and I was home. And when I came to shul, a lot of people came up to me and said, where were you? We didn't see you for a couple of days. So they were concerned.
Yeah.
What I found, I guess I think what the hard part was, okay, when as I got older, the dating scene.
Mm.
I had to tell you.
Yeah, that's always a crapshoot.
I mean, guys that you liked that didn't like you, guys who liked you that you didn't like them, and some guys nice guys, just not my type. Some guys like, what must the shotgunner think of me that they matched me up to this lunatic?
Jeez.
Stuff like that. What the heck? Who was in left field? And so that was that aspect of it, could prove to be difficult. Although I went out on some dates that were really very, very nice, very magical. Like one young man I dated took me on the cable car ride to Roosevelt Island at night. Oh, that was beautiful. Riding in that cable car at night over to this Roosevelt Island is like, it's like a Michal Muchnick book. It's like houses. I'm not kidding. It's like when you open up a Michal Muchnick book and you see the little houses, the cute little towns. That's exactly what Roosevelt Island looked like. It was like, I can't believe that people actually live there and have lives, because it's like a fantasy world over there, the way the houses and the outlay of the community. And then there was one night date I went on, which we walked under this water tunnel. There was these moving sidewalks, and you went under this tunnel that was plexiglass, and above you was water and fish, and it's very, very magical. That was a lot of fun. That date was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And then of course, it's so funny with every stage of the game. Like I remember feeling like when I graduated college and all this academic pressure was over, oh, I'm finally going to be able to relax. I don't have the pressure of papers and midterms and studying. And then then you've discovered in the working world, or even in marriage with, raising kids and having a household, that in the academic world, at least you have your pressure of getting the papers and, everything in on time. But once that is done, once your exams are finished, once those papers are in, whoa, you have a whole summer or whatever, at least a couple of months, you could just kick back and relax and have fun and not have to, worry about too much. Whereas once you graduate, it's not as much pressure, but it's like there's no let up. The house has to be clean. Groceries have to be bought. The kids have to be taken care of. Bills have to be paid. So it's like, again, it's it's like pressure. But the good aspects of that is I enjoyed raising you children very, very much. I enjoyed reading to you, playing music with you guys, singing, the stories, the songs I made up for you guys. I really enjoyed very much. I enjoyed, and thank God I'm a teacher, because there were many, many times, when you and your brothers and sisters needed help academically. And Baruch Hashem, I was able to sit and actually work with you and actually help you guys. My teacher training really kicked in. And saved us thousands of dollars in private tutors.
Yeah.
There was only one time I enlisted the help of a tutor. What happened was one of your older sisters failed the Hebrew readiness test for going into middle school. And the principal, called me and told me, listen, she failed the readiness test. So I said, look, he said, over the summer, get a tutor, have somebody work with her, and we'll retest her a few weeks before the next semester. Fine. I hired this high school girl. I said, listen, you really need to work with my daughter on Chumash. Fine. This tutor, I paid this high school girl. She worked with her the entire summer. She comes and says she fails. He says, the principal calls me. She did not know a thing. What? I go, what? I said, she worked the entire summer. So I called up the tutor. I said, what happened? She failed the Hebrew readiness test for Chumash. And you know what this girl said to me? You wouldn't believe it. I could have strangled her. Good thing the conversation was over the phone. That's all I got to say. This girl says to me, oh, you wanted me to work with her on Hebrew? I was doing the whole thing in English.
Oh my gosh. That's why, like in my line of work and in general, I don't care if I look like an idiot. I always double, triple check and ask stupid questions of, hey, are we supposed to do this? It's like surgeons actually have this thing where they double check the day of the surgery to go like, well, what are we focusing on? What are we doing? Let's just clarify, like always double, triple check. And I guess it's just like you have to be on top of them. You can't just can't just set it up and be like, let it drive.
I said Chumash. I figured Chumash. You read it in Hebrew, you translate it in English, you look at the Rashi. So anyway, so what I did was,
did you get a refund?
So no. Forget. I said forget. I was just so disgusted. I just wanted this. I just hung up the phone. I wanted this girl away from me as soon as humanly. I wanted as much distance between me and her for her own safety as humanly possible. So what I did was I called the principal. I said, "Let me work with my daughter. This was Thursday. From now till Monday, you test her again on Monday." I sat down. I came up with a list of the major vocabulary words that everybody needs in Chumash. And I grilled her on it and grilled her on it and grilled her. And we went it over and over and over again. And we, just reviewed and reviewed and reviewed. Baruch Hashem, Monday morning, she passed the test.
Okay.
I did in 4 days what that bratty kid could not do in 2 months.
How old was the kid?
I think she was like 17, maybe.
Oh,
18, 17, about 17. Yeah, she was, I think, going into her senior year. I mean, I never imagined in all my life that when you tell somebody she needs help in Chumash, that somebody would do an entire thing in English.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. My gosh. All right. So yeah, continue. You were saying?
Okay. Anyway, so anyway. So, like I said, every stage has its, it's good aspects and those things that, are pressuresome. And I say, now, Baruch Hashem, retirement years. I'm supposed to be retired. I'm still working. I'm still, I still work in the preschool, and I still do. As a matter of fact, I babysat today, like kind of an emergency situation where this lady I know had to be out of town and has young kids, and she has a housekeeper. The housekeeper got sick, so she called me and says, "Please, I need to be out of town. Can you please, come in and help me with the house and the kids?" I said, "Sure, no problem." So that's what I did today, and it was nice, it's nice working with little kids again. And I read this little boy a lot of stories, and I went on YouTube to look up Aleph Bey songs, and of all the Aleph Bey songs that are out there, Debbie Friedman's that is the best one.
Oh yeah,
but by far that's the most popular, and it's the best one that's out there. That's the one, Aleph Bet Bet Aleph Bet Bet Gimel Dalet Hey. They had a whole thing with a cartoon of her singing her song, but they put it to a cartoon, and with a band accompanying her. Yeah, it sounded really nice.
I think she passed away in 2011.
I think I heard something about that. I heard she had MS.
Oh wow!
But that was what she achieved. I mean, she played guitar. She played guitar amazingly. She was quite a musician. And as a matter of fact, I came across an entire music book of Jewish songs that she had composed.
That's cool.
It was enough to make up an entire book. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So what I'm enjoying about my golden years is
Yes.
I'm enjoying my senior citizen discounts every place I go.
Gee, that's
especially
advantageous.
especially especially my trip to Barcelona. That was great. Almost every place I went had senior citizen discount.
Yeah.
And I'm also I'm enjoying in a way. Someone said to me that I that she saw my video of me taking the boat excursion in the
Hmm.
lake there by La Ramblas in Barcelona. And she said to me, you had a smile on your face. You looked so free and happy. Like in a certain way, like I guess your senior years have the advantages is that you don't have the obligations. Well, not necessarily obligation, but your kids are grown, pretty much self-sufficient. You don't have to, let's put it this way, you shouldn't have to worry about them, but I still do.
Yeah.
And there are occasions when, like as like some of your sisters have given birth and they've called, they said, hey, they need me to come up to help them for a few weeks while they're recuperating. Sure. So, I enjoy doing that. I also enjoy the, in a way, like the freedom to be able to like go to the store without having to put a kid in the car seat and try and pull up and take the kids out of the car seat and out of the car and put them in the shopping cart and making your little shopping trip twice as long as it would have been otherwise. That was when, like, as your kids got older, I remember the first time in many, many years I was able actually to pull the car up to the store, go and do my shopping, come out, put the groceries in the car, come home without having to worry about taking. Now, what do I do first? Do I take the groceries out first and have the kids sitting, at least they're strapped to their seats and at least they know they're safe? Or do I take them out first and then try to figure out how to bring in the groceries while they're running loose?
Oh God.
But then there was that time with your sister Pesci. When she
Yeah.
was a baby. She was so little. She was so thin and so little. I was carrying this big pocketbook. So as I had her in the car seat, I brought in all the groceries. At least you bring it in. What you do is usually bring it in to the house, at least into the living room. So that way you can close and lock the door so the little ones can't run out. You could, take your time then putting it in the kitchen and organizing them. So I had the groceries in, and and the advantage too about putting it in the living room is you want to keep your eye on the car too, because you've got your kid in the car seat. So I come back out and I had one more bundle of groceries in my arm and I had my pocketbook and I said, hey, she was so thin and little, I bet she would fit. I took her out of the car seat, I put her in my pocketbook. I didn't zipper it up. It was unzippered. Don't worry. I sat her in my pocketbook and I was able to bring the last bundle of groceries with her in my pocketbook into the car and out of the car into the house in one trip.
Oh wow. Yes.
You're probably wondering to yourself, how is it that I was able to make it to adulthood?
Yeah. I
In
always find
one
it quite
piece.
interesting. Exactly. I still feel like I'm a little kid, like I'm like still 18, 20, and I'm realizing I'm 34. I'm like, oh God. Everything just
So are these the best years of your life in certain respects?
in certain aspects, I would say it's a very good part of my life. The best years of my life, it's like at least the way I see it right now, my perspective can change, things can change. But I would say my 2 years in Israel were the best. It was just everything was on. Like I was making my own decisions, I was doing my own thing. Um, Social life was just top notch. Um, School life, everything that I had going on just was just going up and up and up and up. But that's just kind of how life happens where it comes to an end. And that's for me is where like, well, went into college and I got my master's and I went, became an adult, and I had my own life. But like that chance to really, I guess, feel free and feel like the world, is my oyster kind of thing. That was it. That was it. I don't feel that
Mhm.
way right now. I don't think I'll ever feel that way. But I'm okay with it though. That's the thing. I'm not like miserable about it or depressed about it. I'm okay with it. I'm not like complaining. I'm not saying, oh, I should have, what. It's just that this is part of life. This is the part where it's just like you just have to, you know, maintain that steady, plane ride, and that's it. You know, if that
It's
makes
like
any sense.
I know what you're talking about. It's like what I said before about at least in college, you have, you have your times for fun.
Yeah.
This is over. And one day, I remember thinking to myself, oh, a while back, that you know, now that I guess the bit, taking care of your father was a very, very strained, busy part of my life. Taking care
Hmm.
of somebody, who's suffering from, uh, you know, from a disease and is going downhill. And I remember thinking to myself, um, around that time, I was reminiscing in college about how there were times that I had fun. And I said to myself, what is it? Have I forgotten how to have fun? What am I doing in my life for fun? And I thought, something? I think I'm not doing anything for fun. Everything is just busy, busy, busy. And I thought, I really need to think about that, about just just doing something for fun.
Yeah.
And I think like when we get into the busy part of our life, working, raising a family, having a household, I think we kind of, whereas before it was a set time, exams are over, the pressure's over. Now it's time for fun.
Yeah.
Whereas you have at this point, your life is not, you have to kind of structure your life yourself, and you have to make time yourself for fun. It's like I was talking to my my sister and I were talking about retirement. And
Hmm.
she said one of the hard things about retirement was for her that now there was no out extraneous structure of getting up, going to a job, coming home, making dinner, maybe watching a little TV or being involved in a hobby, and then going to bed and waking up and doing it all over again. Says now that she's retired, she has to come up with her own structure and her own organization, like organize her life now by herself, like she has to be creative and think of ways to organize her life. And she said she found that was a challenge.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Emo, for having this wonderful conversation. And I will see you, God willing, I don't know, in about a month. All
A
right.
month.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Where are you going next Thursday?
You're not going to be in New York, you're in Florida. In a month, we're going to be both going to be in Canada.
Oh, when I thought you said see me, I thought you meant on the podcast.
No. Jeez Louise. All right. Okay.
Wait a minute. Did I miss something? Tisha
No.
B'Av when's Tisha B'Av? Not. I think is it the Sunday after next?
August
Is it
7th,
the
I think
Sunday?
Tisha B'Av is. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so let me see. So it's when's Rosh Chodesh?
I don't know. I don't know. In
Rosh
like
Chodesh
10 days, maybe.
Menachem. I'm gonna look at my
All right.
trusty calendar.
We're gonna end the podcast. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
sweetness.
Love you.
Love you, darling. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I know you would like it, and my mother would too.